really privileged to be here, and thanks to PIBM for inviting me. I see a lot of parents out here, and it must be indeed a proud moment for them. Whenever in these occasions, we must remember our parents and mentors with gratitude. I think it's important to give them a big hand on behalf of all of us. As we are exploring, you guys are going to explore the world beyond PIBM and step out into the corporate realm. I thought, allow me to share a few thoughts which possibly will help you. I think business is about making money pass through our hands and retaining some bit of it. There's a lot of money going around in the world, believe me. You will discover it when you get out of this building. Business is about devising ways and ideas and executions to make that pass through your hands. And if you create value, that will provide the stickiness for that money to be retained. I think that's the first principle. Business is about not grabbing the money which is floating around, but making it pass through our hands, and that's the economic value we will add. However, I think one challenge is we must remember that business is a kind of a long distance running, beyond the momentary transactional profits. And let me elaborate this. At Bisleri, we have a concept called lifetime value of a customer. How does that work? We sell these 20-liter jars, you must have seen, of water, Bisleri. That's just rupees 100. But imagine a family buying 2 jars per week for 30 years from Bisleri. Then what's the value I get from that household? About 3 lakh rupees. The last thing I do before I go to bed, every day religiously, respond to Twitter, respond to consumer complaints. And my wife keeps asking me, what are you doing? Say, I'm responding to somebody who didn't get a jar today. She said, forget it, 100 rupees ka dhanda hai. I said, no. I think it's not a frivolous activity. I'm attending to a 3 lakh rupee customer. I think long-term relationships bring larger business value. Let's remember that. The second point I thought I should share with you is management is about constantly improving our learning model. In real life, as you start practicing a lot of the principles which you have learned of management from this institute, never forget to develop a learning model that is scalable. And let me share a story from my friend, late Mr. Mauli, on this. 3 of the friends got together. They were traveling. They were in a particular town and suddenly happened to meet. So they chatted up the whole evening. And by late night, they said, oh God, it's hungry. We're all feeling hungry. Let's go and locate a hotel to eat something. So they drove around the town for an hour, and finally, Shetty's restaurant was open. So went there, had food. As they were parting their ways and saying goodbye to each other, all 3 reflected on that experience. The first guy said, if I'm ever in this town and I get late, what do? I go to Shetty's restaurant. That's a good thought, provided you are in this town which has a Shetty's restaurant. The second guy thought, Shetty's restaurant was opposite a railway station. So next time I have a problem, late night food, what do? I search for a railway station and I'll find food there. Learning model was slightly better. The third guy reflected and said, okay, I found food opposite a railway station, which means a travel hub. So any town I get stuck, what do? I just ask the taxi guy to take me to a travel hub and I'll figure out my food. I think the third guy, the first guy stopped at the answer, and the third one didn't stop thinking till he found the method that led to the answer. I think it's important for us to master this when you step into life. Once you master the art of finding the answer, you will be able to respond to any situation, and that is something which will be scalable in life. The third thing I would like to leave you a thought with is about business is about people, it's about trust and relationships. In business, nothing gets done without people, be it customers or be it your own team. And let me share our own example during COVID. Bisleri was one of the companies in India which remained open every single day during COVID. When the lockdown happened, I went to the chairman and told him, "Sir, I have only two requests to you. We should not be terminating any employee, and we should not be cutting anybody's salary." So he thought for a while, because everybody was cutting 20% staff, reducing salary by 30%, 50%. He thought for a while, then he said, "Done, agreed. I have only one request, you don't differentiate between own and contractual employees." I said, "That's very good, very kind of him." So I went back, got our entire protocols on safety done, took insurance, medical insurance, life insurance for every employee and contractual staff. We were actually one of the first companies to get into life insurance during COVID. And, it was so difficult. It was almost like at the war front. When you're telling your staff to keep the factories open, run it, and take the water to containment zones and deliver it to COVID patients. Just think of it, I'm going to ask my employee, I don't know whether they're going to catch COVID and whether you're going to die. Very difficult decision. But I think employees saw that we were doing everything that we could. In fact, in Bombay, we housed the employees in a hotel. We just took over the entire hotel next to our plant and said, "You guys will not go home. You will stay in this hotel and come and work." People saw what we were doing and they went beyond their call of duty. And I think that was one of the phases where our employees added such tremendous value to Bisleri as a brand. Bisleri is about trust and reassurance, and I think that's what we did. And a whole lot of consumers have written to me, "You were the one brand which came to my doorstep when we were in trouble." I think people add a lot of value. When you take care of your people, I think people will take care of your business. The next thing I would like to tell you is another story. Trust your intuition and creativity. Don't be overawed by this big data analytics and artificial intelligence. These are the times of artificial intelligence. Everybody is scared what's going to happen. Obviously, I think there's a great value in terms of harnessing the benefits of technology. However, we should not forget, as humans, we have an ingenuity which is far more powerful than any artificially created stuff. Let me share an interesting case. I was with one of the largest retailers in this country. The head was one of my good old friends. So we were chatting up in the afternoon over lunch after the visit, meeting him. So he said, "Angelo, one of the biggest challenges I have is transferring stocks from a distribution center to my branches, my stores. That reconciliation, despite the best tool that is there in the world, I have a complete nightmare. What is meant for store A gets delivered in store B, and there is always a reconciliation mess." So I was thinking, this is crazy. They have the best systems in the world, the largest retailer in the world. The weekend, an Indian retailer and the CEO and me were colleagues. We met, he came to Delhi, so I used to be in Delhi those days. He said, "Boss, come for a dinner," and we went for a dinner. So I was sharing with him over the dinner, "Listen, I met this guy," and he was telling me he is going bonkers trying to reconcile physical movement of goods. So what do you do? So he said, "Boss, that's very simple. I use bindis." I said, bindis. So he said, listen, whatever systems you carry, the guy who's loading your truck and the guy who's unloading your truck are illiterate people. So if material is meant for one store, what do? I put a red bindi, and every box that's meant for that store, I put a red bindi. All I need to do after unloading is to check any other color bindi is there in the box, my job is done. Zero reconciliation. Think of it. Did he use any artificial intelligence? Did he use any data system? Plain, simple understanding about who are the people who are handling it. And that insight translated into very cost effective. How much is the bindi? Lots of girls sitting here. A sheet possibly is about 1 rupee, right? You didn't require a software for managing that. That's human ingenuity. Keep your mind open for real insights like this, and that's beyond data, which will be useful to you. I had only 4 points, but I think over lunch there was one discussion which came up about management graduates looking at their career. And I thought maybe I should use an analogy to explain this. My personal feel is that capabilities define a career growth. And it's important to realize that it is not a batch-based entitlement. One of the challenges with management graduates is, मेरा batch में सबको promotion हो गया, why am I not getting promoted? Why? It's an entitlement, right? Life doesn't work like that. And let me illustrate with an example. When you join a company, assume that you're given a bicycle to ride. So after a few months, what happens? You become very good at riding a bicycle, right? Then you will go to your boss and say, boss, I think it's time to give me a motorcycle. Now, is there a comparison between a cycle and a motorcycle? Both have 2 wheels, correct? Both are running on the road. But there is one dimension that is different from a personal self-generated power to a mechanical power. Unless you are learned to handle that, harness that mechanical power, what happens? You will go and end up somewhere and have an accident. Okay? But it's learnable? Definitely yes. You can sit behind somebody, learn motorcycle driving, and then you ask the company, now that I have mastered, please give me a motorcycle, they would give you. Okay? Now that the guy is riding a motorcycle, he says, boss, I think it's a couple of years now, I think it's time I got a car. Are car and motorcycle same? Both are using ICE engines, mechanical power. There is a difference. Suddenly there is a dimension of space. You are sitting in one corner of the car and you need to take charge of the entire space behind. It is like heading a function. When you're heading a function, what happens? Your actions will have impact on other functions. And we must remember that. You are not operating in isolation. Your steering is here, but if you back up wrongly, somebody else is going to get hurt. Okay, now that you have mastered a car, now you tell the company, it's time for me to get onto the trailer. That's also got wheels, it has got a steering, and I have mastered the space. Is there a difference or is it the same? I think there is a time lag effect in a trailer. When you want to move something, you need to plan a little ahead because you know when you are turning radius and the trailer following you moves at a different velocity. And this is what happens in a job like mine. If I have to move my organization to a certain direction, 2 years from today, I need to start moving my steering now. And the guys with me may not even realize what is happening. And that's what life is about, and that is what an analogy one can park at the back of the mind as to why it is important to learn some of these things with people who are mentors and take forward. So the career growth happens by familiarizing and mastering the dimensions required for the next level. That is when you are truly entitled. So as you commence your journey, remember business is about making money pass through our hands. It's about people and the value of long-term relationships. And it's about learning the method to find the answers, not knowing the answer. Never forget that our mind is more powerful than data analytics and artificial intelligence. At the same time, I heard a little earlier, and your chairman repeating and telling you, stay grounded, remain humble, embrace opportunities that come your way with a lot of enthusiasm. I have no doubt that each one of you will do well in your careers and leave your footprints in the sands of time.